Been lit, boy. Everything goes.
We now return you to regular programming.
All right, guys, welcome back. Everything goes. So we have Dylan Smith, right-handed pitcher from Alabama, joining us today. How you doing today, Dylan? Sorry.
I'm very good. How are you?
We're doing really good, man. Number one, we're praying you and your family are doing good during this crazy COVID-19. Everybody we have on, always get a good side of that view. But crazy times right now, man. Hope you're doing good.
I am. How are y'all doing?
Man, we in the beginning we had high numbers of the COVID, then they went down, and now they're starting to go back up again. It's like, it's so weird trying to get used to all this.
I think the worst part is, I don't know if you guys have to wear masks down there yet or not, but we have to wear them at work. Oh, man, it is terrible working with a mask on.
Oh, I understand. In Houston, we have to wear masks everywhere we go.
Oh, I can only imagine. We have family outside of Houston in Tomball, actually, and I can only imagine.
Oh,
with
really?
That,
I know where that's at.
Yeah, I can only imagine with that heat, man, how bad it is with that mask. But
oh, yeah. It's a furnace.
Now, how is it for you? Obviously, a lot of college athletes missed out on most of their season. Are you still trying to play? Are there any leagues down there that are open up right now?
Yes, I'm actually playing in a Mississippi league in Meridian, Mississippi. Some of my teammates and some of us are actually going to Meridian to play, and some are going to like the Northwoods baseball league.
Yeah.
But some of us were like scheduled to play in the Cape, but it got canceled, and so we had to go down to Meridian, Mississippi, and different other leagues.
Wow, that's pretty cool. A lot of the leagues actually are starting to open up here July 5th, so I'm excited. Obviously, I'm not as good as you. I never want to face you. I've seen your curveball in a few videos. Looks like you'd probably strike me out. But is that different, man? I mean, you go out there hoping to have a good season with Alabama, and just it's done. Is that frustrating as an athlete?
Yeah, it was very different. I mean, it was very sad in the moment because you worked all up to this point, and you got your team to where y'all needed to be, and we were all starting to bond and catch the right tempo to get going for the year. And I mean, it just came to an end. It's like, man, we did all this work for nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and especially, obviously, it's a D1 school. I'm assuming those workouts in the off season are a little more intense than your typical average baseball player would go through.
I mean, it gets intense every day. There's no days off, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Dylan, how is it now as far as Alabama? Are students allowed back on campus or anything? I know football players have been reporting, and you hear cases of Alabama and Clemson and all these different schools having all these, cases of coronavirus. Is it open to you guys now?
The campus itself isn't open. Just some of the dorms are opening up for athletes, and we could go back to the city and stuff, but we can't really be on our fields or on the campus.
Oh, wow.
Now, do you think that sports will come back? I know the University of Michigan just came out today and said that they're already $21 million in the hole from all the testing that they're doing. And then you have other schools, I think it's Mammoth or something like that, that actually said that they can't even play football this year.
Yeah, I think sports will come back, but it's just going to take a lot of time and effort to think this through and what we need to do as a community and as a whole, figure out what's going to help prevent this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What's going to be the safer term for us going forward.
Now, just curious, a little side note here. Are you excited that MLB is coming back, and do you have a favorite team that you root for?
I am excited for MLB to come back, and I don't have a favorite team.
Really?
I like them all.
I saw a picture of you as a little child in a Yankee uniform, and I thought, he's going to say Yankees.
I mean, any team I play with is my favorite.
Hey, that's different.
Now, in the beginning of June, you played in a tournament, correct?
I did.
Now, how did you feel as far as your safety and your health and your competitors' health? To me, I coached baseball for a while, and I feel like that's probably the easiest sport to quarantine in. Any problems at all?
It actually wasn't any problems. When we got down there, we got tested in the beginning at the hotel, and they pretty much said the group that got tested, we were in a bubble.
Okay.
So we couldn't go outside that bubble. If we went outside that bubble, that means we weren't able to play because you have to get retested again, and it already takes 3 days.
Oh, wow.
So we got down there prior to like a week before, and they quarantined every player that came. We got there, we took the test. We took one before we left to go home.
Now, did you get the whole test where they go up and they stab you in your brain?
Yeah, they stabbed me in my nose pretty good.
Oh, man. I do not want to go through that test. I did hear something similar, though. I was talking to a lady, and she was talking about she's going to play soccer at, like, I think it was a D2 school, actually, so it's not even D1. And they said that, like, before school starts, they want all the athletes for each sport to, like, almost room together to be quarantined together because they're going to be obviously on the field together a lot, and that way if anyone does have it. But that's very interesting, man.
Yeah, I mean, when I talked to my athletic trainer at school, they told us that we will have to take a coronavirus test again, before we were able to go back to school before school starts.
Oh, my God, dude.
I would not want I would not want to have to go through that again.
All right, now, Dylan, now, since you haven't been on campus and baseball did come to an end early for you guys, does your coach keep in contact with you? If you want to go play in tournaments, do you have to get approval from your coach and stuff like that? Or does he give you anything you need to work on in general?
Yes. Actually, my pitching coach, he makes a plan for all the pitchers to stay on schedule before they get sent off to their league. And we have to follow that schedule throwing program. And we have to let them know if it was a rainy day, did we get our throwing in and stuff like that. Okay. Every other day of the week, just to check in with him and see how he's doing as well. Our head coach keeps in touch with us pretty much all the time. If he's not texting you this day, he'll probably text you 2 days later.
Now
everyone,
go ahead.
Yeah, everyone's still in contact with each other.
That's good. That's good. A lot of Zoom calls, I'm assuming.
Not too many Zoom calls. We probably had about 2 or 3.
Oh, that's good. That's lucked out.
Now, when you go into these showcases and these tournaments, do they have a strict number that you're allowed to pitch, or is it wide open? You can do whatever you want.
No, so on the plan, it tells us what type of pitches we need to be ready to throw, how many innings we're going to go, like our max innings. So when I was at the event earlier this June, my max number of innings was 1.
Okay.
And if my pitch count was low enough, I may have got another chance to throw again.
Oh, interesting.
But other than that, everybody else it was smooth sailing.
That's
Once
cool.
you follow your schedule, you keep going.
It's
definitely. Like a pace,
Now, you attended the Rollins Perfect Game, correct?
You said what?
You attended the Perfect Game, right? You got to play at the Perfect Game?
I did.
Now, was that something that was definitely a different, almost like, I guess I would say, environment? Because obviously when you go to a tournament like that, everyone is almost like a very good player
That's
around
all elite
you.
Players.
Especially as a pitcher, you're not pitching to a team that might have 3 to 4 good hitters and you can manage through the lineup. You're going to go through 9 good players. Was that definitely a different environment for you?
Not really. Growing up, I always played up a little bit, played up with older age groups.
Yeah.
So I kind of just played against them and thought of them as the same age and that I was better than them. And
no, that's always
I wasn't cocky about it, but
no, I get you. You gotta have that chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, you gotta have a chip on your shoulder.
No, that's awesome.
And I was always young, so for my class, so that was also another boost. Kind of wanted to prove guys wrong.
Yeah, and now you've obviously been clocked. Obviously the '90s. What was that feeling the first time you knew I'm throwing gas?
Well, I was very excited. I mean, I was like, wow, I'm really in the 90s. One step closer to my goal.
What is your goal?
I want to be an MLB pitcher.
Yeah,
that's my goal.
That's an amazing goal, man. We're actually rooting for you, man. We hope to get there one day.
Now, what pitches right now are you working on? What are you throwing? What's in your repertoire? You fastball, curveball, slider, changeup?
Yes, sir. I have a fastball. I have a slider. I have a 12-6 curveball. I have a splitter,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm working on a 3-finger changeup
Oh, that's
because
cool.
my splitter is more like a pitch I throw to lefties only.
Yeah,
But I'm working on it to the right side, so I won't have to mess with the regular changeup.
that's awesome.
Now, the more pitches you have, the better you're going to be. If you're like a Zach Greinke, I think he throws like 6 different pitches. You get into the MLB,
Right.
you don't got to depend so much on that fastball. You can work on that slow stuff too.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna use all my weapons.
Or you could just be a Chapman and throw 100 miles an hour and get to the pros.
I want to be a Chapman now. I
Hey,
should be able to throw it up there.
it was interesting hearing Rajay Davis talk about in that bat with Chapman. Obviously, man, you had a huge decision coming out of high school. Padres definitely drafted you, but you also had the option to go play for Alabama, which is honestly a good path. But how difficult was it to make that decision? Because I feel like if I was 18 and like the Padres drafted me, I mean, there's a big hole inside me that's kind of thinking like, I want to go.
Right. I mean, I always grew up wanting to be in the MLB, but I figured if I can do it out of high school, I can do it again.
That's
Yeah,
true.
so
Wow.
true.
That's a
In
good
my-
way to look at it, actually.
In
Wow.
my family, education is important. So education was always first for me.
That's awesome.
And I always wanted to get closer to my degree because the closer I can get to my degree, the better I am just in case if I had a backup plan, if I got hurt, playing pro ball,
Yeah.
I have something I can kind of depend on or lean back on.
Dylan, that is awesome what you just said, because look what's going on right now. You know what I mean? This world is so crazy with this pandemic, and there are a lot of minor leaguers who just got released that they don't know what they're going to do now. So I think you made a great decision, and I think you're only going to improve, and your draft selection is going to be even higher.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hey, man.
Now, what happens now as far as your sophomore year? I mean, it's going to be over with. Are you going to come back to school? I mean, are you doing online classes? Are you going to come back as a junior? Or do you come back as a sophomore? Do you get another year of eligibility? How does that work out?
I know we got another year of eligibility, but I don't know how will I classify for next season.
Okay.
But I am taking online summer classes right now at a community college in Houston,
Okay.
so I can stay ahead in school.
Because I think once you choose college over MLB, how does that work then? You have to do at least 3 years of college before you can submit to the draft again?
Yes, sir. 3 years of college, and then if you're 21 as a sophomore, you're draft eligible.
Okay.
So, as I told you, I'm young, so
Yeah.
I'll be 3 years of college first.
That's actually really
Now,
cool, man.
did you actually watch the draft, or I mean, did your phone ring and it came up San Diego Padres, and you looked at it for a while? How'd that all take place?
Well, I was looking at the draft and I was watching it, and then I actually had missed my name's being called because I had stepped out and went to eat. And so I got the call from several people congratulating me, and then I saw it on my Twitter feed and everything, and I was just blessed at the opportunity in the moment.
That's amazing.
Now,
man.
I don't want to ask you anything about as far as money goes, as far as what they offered you, but did they say, hey, we're going to have you start out in low A, we're going to have you start out in single A, or did you just say, welcome to the Padres?
No, they just pretty much were saying, we're happy that we drafted you, hope we get to sign you, and they'll keep in touch with me.
Okay.
And once I told them I was going to school, I mean,
How
they were
did
like, good luck, best of luck in the future.
That's
how did
amazing.
that feel walking around school the next day after the draft and knowing that your name was called?
Actually, I was out of school then. But
Ah.
yeah, I was out of school, but it was a good feeling because I knew I got drafted, so folks were kind of looking at me differently.
That's amazing, man. That's really good. Congratulations, obviously.
Awesome.
Thank you.
My last question for you, obviously, is when you make it to the pros, is there ever that dream matchup you ever thought about, like some guy that you really wanted to pitch against to see how well you could, play in the pros?
Well, not really.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to pitch against a lot of people. I mean, I want to pitch against Tim Anderson. I want to pitch against Sanchez.
Tim Anderson, man. I think if he took me yard and did a bat flip, I think I'd be honored.
Nah. I mean, I want to face a lot of those guys, but you never know how season will go in a few years with
man.
everything that's going on in this world.
Absolutely,
Now,
man.
Dylan, I have a question as far as, do you want to be a starter or do you want to be a reliever?
I ultimately want to be a starter, but like I said, whatever happens.
Yeah.
Happened for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason, man. Absolutely. Well, Dylan, we thank you so much for joining us today. We wish you, obviously, the best of luck on your journey. Can't wait to see your name get called in a couple of years again. But we hope you and your family stay safe, man.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
And Dylan, we'd love to have you on again. We'll be keeping our eyes on you. And like he said, we wish you nothing but the best. Godspeed, and hope you guys stay safe.
All right, y'all too. Have a blessed one.
You too,
too.
man.
Thank you.
See ya.
All right, guys, we just got done interviewing Dylan Smith from Alabama. And now we have Michael Morgan on the phone. Michael Morgan was the guy that sponsored one of our last podcasts, and he makes those wonderful, wonderful Morgan mixers. Michael, how you doing?
Doing well, guys. Good to be on with you. How are you doing?
Doing good. Hope you and your family are doing good, man.
Doing well, staying safe, trying to stay isolated for the most part, except for the necessities, but we're doing okay, man. Hanging in there in this new normal,
This is my first time kind of meeting you, I guess, besides Facebook.
Yeah, Michael, you're going to get along good with him. He's a Saints fan.
Oh, absolutely. Then
Yeah.
we're brethren already, my man.
Hey, I'm the adopted one here in the family.
I just sit back and hit the mute button and listen to you two chatter on about the Aints.
Yeah, because I understand that there's a boy fan in the house here somewhere.
There's two of them, actually.
Oh, man. Oh, I know it's got to be tough for you, Ty,
Man,
but hang in there,
it's tough,
man.
man. Especially when they play in the dome. I can't cheer. They kind of like lock me down back here.
Mike, yeah. Michael, I want to talk about your Morgan mixers because I tell you what, man, I have really been trying to get people to hit you up. I mean, I love them. Nicole loves them. What got you into making your own mixers?
Well, funny story, man. A couple of maybe about 3 4th of July's ago, a couple of days before the 4th, my wife and I were watching the Food Network, man, and I made a gallon of rum punch, stuck it in the freezer, and kind of forgot about it. And my wife said, "What about that gallon you made? Where is it?" I said, "Oh, it's in the freezer, so let me go grab it." I mean, it wasn't frozen solid, but it kind of had like a frozen daiquiri consistency.
Better with age.
Yeah, exactly. And she said, "Boy, I bet those would be good in a popsicle." And then the light bulb went out for both of us. So being as studious as she is, the next day she went out and she actually found some popsicle sleeves. We made a couple mixes, brought them to my in-laws for the 4th of July, and we made 50 of them, and they were gone like within an hour.
Wow.
So
That's crazy.
So we knew we had something. So I had been actually doing gallons of rum punch and certain things for tailgates for folks for a while. I hadn't been really charging them anything. As long as they bought the ingredients, I told them that I'd mix it up for them. And, it actually just got to the point where we said, you know what, maybe we could make a small business out of this and kind of see how it goes. So it's grown, man, by leaps and bounds locally, especially it's grown, but we've actually been branching out and been sending stuff out pretty much nationwide.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So
I was gonna say too, like I remember. First of all, do you still sell popsicles? Because I saw the new containers. I was like, man, that is completely a
Look,
step
they're
up.
not popsicles. They're
Yep.
boozy pops, and they are
They're
the
boozy
bomb.
pops.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we actually still do the boozy pops. We do the shorts like you guys had.
Yeah.
We actually do the pouches also. We sell them by the gallon, half gallon, and we also do like bottled cocktails as well, like the high proof bottled cocktails as well, like an
Wow.
old fashioned and the like. We do those as well, and we ship everything nationwide. In fact, I had a couple shipments that went to London and to Italy
Oh
the
wow.
past few weeks.
That's awesome, man.
So
Congrats.
thank you.
Wait,
So
you know
yeah,
what you
it's
need
been
to do,
picking up.
Mike? You need
What's
to get one of those food truck like that, the trucks that they have out there that you can cook in them. But instead of doing that, hook it up with the boozy pops and drive down to the Superdome on game day.
Oh my gosh.
And
yeah.
if you have slushies, the whole 9 yards, my God.
Well, it's funny you said that because the hitch beverage portion of what we're doing is actually going to be a mobile trailer.
Oh,
We'll be offering those things that you say, showing up at tailgates, doing private parties, receptions, festivals, the whole 9 yards. So that is definitely coming soon, and we've already started the Instagram page to kind of put the word out. But it'll be a little bit later this summer into early fall when we actually have the trailer up and going.
now
That's
you know
awesome.
you can drive up that East Coast. You know, all the way up 95. You can stop and see Juan, and then keep on coming a little north, and you can stop and see us.
Well, we have some licensing issues we'd have to get through with that with different states first, but from what I've been told, it's not very difficult for something if it's a temporary type thing. So we actually have some plans to do some events in Texas and in Georgia. So don't be surprised you see me driving up there now.
Now you know
Wow.
licensing things aren't. That's not an issue. Remember back in the early days, it was called bootlegging. As long as you had a fast hot rod, you can go anywhere you wanted to go with all the booze you wanted.
I'm not sure how fast I could pull a 20-foot trailer. I'd be willing to give it a shot, especially weighted down with gallons and a refrigerator and a freezer. So, not really sure if I could be hot rod enough to get away from the local yokels. But hey, I'm willing to give it a shot.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now the drinks that we had ordered, do you have any of the hurricanes in that?
We do offer the hurricanes as well. The hurricanes are special order. That's actually going to be part of the updated menu with the hitch beverage side of it. Those are going to be, like I said, more alcohol intensive, for lack of a better word. They're going to
Yeah.
be stronger drinks,
You know,
with more spirits content in them. So yeah, those will be the new line. We'll be starting those probably in about the next week.
Wow.
But we're putting the feelers out for them now, getting the recipes down like we really want them to be consistent.
Yeah.
But once we have that set, you'll start seeing them on the Morgan Mixers page and on the Hitch Beverage page as well.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely promote that on our pages. Now, are you guys like full time into this, or is this more of just like a when you have time type of thing?
Well, it just slowly but surely it's becoming a full-time thing because
Yeah.
I still have a full-time job, but working remotely, I'm home most of the time, so it gives me the immediacy of right when my workday ends, I'm able to jump on it and get orders fulfilled and what have you.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's a bit of a juggle right now, but we're hanging in there, man.
I
you
didn't
know
get
what?
I didn't get to try one of the new ones. I
Nah,
tried the popsicles last time, but they were gone by the time I came home this time.
Wait, so I heard you were like out on the beach, sunning and funning while they were at home drinking all your portions, man.
Yeah, man. I came home and last time I checked, there were 10 bottles that were full, and then I come home and there's like 2 bottles that are full.
Well, the next time I send some up there, I'm gonna make sure and put some minis on the side just for you, man.
well, they were made with love, so they were just going down so smooth. And you know what's funny? We were talking about the hurricane when we were just down there last summer. Ty got his first taste of the hurricane.
Oh, I did.
And
Oh, boy.
I said to him, I warned him right away, don't drink it
You gotta
fast.
sip it. That's what
Right.
Lynn said. But my thing is like I'm not a big drinker, so if I have like 2 to 3 beers, I'm feeling buzzed already. So they gave me a hurricane, and they're like laughing at me.
Well,
I mean, I got like a quarter.
Oh.
I got like a quarter of the way down.
Well,
and I
Mike-
said, "Take it away from
Mike,
me."
he got the hurricane like smoothie thing that from that one place where you can like make your own. And then
Right.
then we took him down to Pat O'Brien's, and I said, "This is the real
Oh.
deal, man. You do not want to
Oh.
drink this one fast."
Well, the smoothie
See,
one
look.
was good because it was so hot down there when we went
Right.
down there.
But see, you have to be careful. See, your dad's a native; he knows what's up. So he brings you here and tries to indoctrinate you, but you got to be careful. With hurricanes, man, I mean, they're like 80% rum.
Oh yeah,
So you really got to go slow with
Oh,
them,
God,
especially
yeah.
if it's hot.
man.
Especially if it's hot.
What was that?
Absolutely.
What was that place we went to get the almost like the donut type thing in the mall?
All the beignets. We went. Well, we didn't go to the
Oh.
Cafe de Mont in the French Quarter. We went to the one that was down by the Riverwalk inside that like, little mall area.
Gotcha.
that,
Yeah.
that was good, and we had gator for the first time. That was good too.
Oh, you did have some alligator. All
Yeah.
right.
Well,
Well, you
we-
did pretty good, man.
We had like 2 different forms of it. The one was like just nuggets. It was so good, and then they gave us something that just did not taste right.
Well, when we came back,
Was it alligator sauce pecan?
Oh, I know.
I don't know. I don't think it was that.
All I know is I had a lot of Spanish rice.
Well, we came we came down. It was my first time in like 20 years. So we went to that one place where they give you the sample of everything, and it was like a homecoming all over again.
All that crawfish you got too.
I bet. Yeah, you come for the food. And let me tell you, so many folks I know that work with me at my regular 9 to 5 that ended up staying here after just coming for a week's visit. So I mean, you know how this place gets in your veins.
Oh, yeah.
It gets in, and you just don't leave. You'll get that phone call saying, "Hey, send my stuff. I'm not coming back."
I think what was crazy is seeing was it Ninth Ward where the hurricane hit, and just still seeing like everything that's still there. Like that was kind of like crazy and cool at the same time, because like it's almost like you're looking at history of what happened there, and seeing the levees and like how high that water already is. Like,
well, that's the thing they didn't realize, Mike. When I took them over to Chalmette side, they didn't realize that you're actually under the water. Basically, the water's above you.
Oh, absolutely. Well, when we returned to my home, me being in insurance, I was able to get a bit of a peek before the general public was able to get in. And there was 8 feet of water in my house. I mean, if you can imagine for a minute just driving down I-10, and Chris, you're familiar with what I'm speaking about. Driving down I-10 going through New Orleans East, and as you drive, just realizing that as you're sitting in your car, there's 4 feet of water over your head.
Yeah,
that's how deep the water was in this entire region.
It's crazy.
You know, because I live in New Orleans East, which is right near Chalmette. So yeah, you had a lot of water.
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of water. When we finally were able to get back into the house, we could see where the water line was, and it was up to almost the ceiling on the first floor.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny because our trip was to come down to Texas to see Lynn and everybody, and because we wanted to come to New Orleans first, but the Jazz Fest was going on, everything was booked, everything was overpriced. But we drove to 5 hours because I was like, look, we're going down. I haven't seen your mom and dad forever. I wanted to get to New Orleans so bad, you know, and to see Sean. I wanted to meet up with you, but it didn't work out. It was so good to be back down there. I love the South. I want to go back to the South.
We got to see your house you grew up. We also got to see the little chicken place that he got jumped at.
Oh yeah, Church's Chicken. You know, it's funny
He told
how.
you that story?
He told me that
funny how
story.
my kids remember the highlights I try to forget. You know what I mean?
Man, let me tell you, that's why you don't share too much with them, man. You know?
That's why you don't wear a Cowboys hat walking around town down there. They just don't like Cowboys fans. But you know what?
That's his dad we met, right?
Yeah, Mr. Mike.
Your dad, man. I remember we got lost and we called him, and I heard his deep voice. I was like, yo, I'm a little nervous to meet him. And I remember I went to give him a handshake, so I was trying to be polite. He pulled me in for a big hug.
He goes, boy, I don't handshake. Get over here and give me a hug.
Sounds just like him.
He was like, you look just like your daddy.
I'm telling you, man. You sound just like him. That is exactly right. But we gotta get him out of this cowboy thing, man. We gotta get him, back in the Who Dat Nation.
I know.
You know?
Look, a part of me, I do like the Who Dat Nation. You know,
I mean, you're always busting my chops on here, man.
But I've always been a Cowboys fan. I really have been. Through the good times and the bad times. And
Yeah, and I'll be perfectly honest, which I think at one time or another, the majority of football fans, if they weren't Cowboy fans, it was because they, were fans of a rival team. But I think everybody followed them. You know, I mean, you had Staubach and Pearson and Dorsett. And,
oh yeah,
and
I mean, he hopped
Randy
on the bandwagon.
White and Too Tall Jones. Yeah, and even if you didn't like I tell my wife a lot of times that I was never a Lakers fan.
Yeah.
But I was always a fan of each of the individual players that played for the Lakers, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the same thing with the Cowboys, I was never like a huge fan of the Cowboys, but I always liked the individual players that played for them. So especially back in the day when I was a little bit younger and the Cowboys were kind of in their heyday. But we know that fortunes have not been kind to the Cowboys lately.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, come on. You guys have only been to one Super Bowl in how many years? You've choked the last 2 years. Because
choked and refs is completely different.
Yeah, come on now. Yeah, you can't say choke. You can't say choke. Although I think that we could have played a much better game, especially that first pass interference call, non-call thing. I think some better play calling later in the game would have negated that horrific thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
missed
Well,
call.
I said to a lot of people too. Obviously, you could say the refs screwed us, which I think they did. But going into all past 3 playoff games, I mean, the Saints were easily top 5 team, and
Yeah.
going into all those playoffs teams, they did not look like that offense that was running the league. It's like every
No.
playoff game we go into, Drew gets a little cold. The running game doesn't start right away, and it's like all of a sudden when it's the fourth quarter and 2 minutes left, we want to heat up all of a sudden.
Right, and that drives us absolutely crazy because I've been a season ticket holder for, oh my God, 23, 24 years.
I'm
It's-
sorry. I'm sorry
and
to hear that, man.
It's
Yeah,
on
I
Sorry,
my
know,
sorry to
right?
hear that.
it's on my
Okay.
bucket list to get down there, man. It's
You know
on
they
my-
have better things down there now, like the casino.
You know what? I'm not even going to dignify that with a response. But it's been a tough, suffering those playoff losses,
Yeah.
especially when you're favored in both games the
Oh,
last
yeah.
couple seasons.
Were you there
It's,
last year?
Yeah.
Wow, man, I'm
Yeah.
dying to get down there to a
Yeah.
game. I'm dying. We got
Yeah.
to see the stadium when we went to New Orleans. It wasn't obviously open. We got to go in the gift shop and
Right.
everything, but I am dying to get down there.
Well,
for
Mike,
a home game.
what are they saying about the NFL season down there? I know like Texas was saying that they were gonna open up their facilities to like 50% capacity. Now everything that's going on, what's going on in New Orleans?
There are just so many questions. There are way more questions than answers right now because they're not even sure of the seating arrangement, the amount of folks they're going to allow in the dome. There was something going around on the local news here that they were only going to allow 13,000 people in the
Dang.
stadium at a time to watch a game with everyone, socially distant. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to go. And then just in the past week, the league approved the stipulation of having the first 6 to 8 rows of the seating area closed off.
Yeah, I heard that.
So now the Saints are in the process of contacting those folks to try to make arrangements for seating for them, refunds or credits for next season's game or whatever the case may be. And I'll be perfectly frank with you, I'm not really sure my comfort level of being in there now with 70,000 people and
Yeah.
there's always a lot of hand slapping and hugging and all
Yeah.
those type things, and especially in a Saints game. There are no strangers in the game
Yeah.
when you get there.
Yeah.
No strangers in the stands. So it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic works. I'm not really sure how they're going to do it. I'm not sure how they're going to pull it off. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to pull it off, at least this season.
And that sucks.
It would
too.
break my heart. But it would
Yeah.
break my heart to not be able to go. But I honestly just don't know how they're going to do it. Even with what's going on with the NBA now, every time the NBA plants their flag in the dirt, a couple more players come up positive. Like we just got the news that 3 Pelicans are positive and
Yeah,
now in
I heard
isolation.
that today. I heard that.
So,
I heard the Denver Nuggets also closed down their practice facility.
Right. So you just don't know. And with the numbers back on the upswing now, you just really don't know. But there are a lot of anxious Saints fans here. And we haven't really heard a lot from Ms. Benson as far as what they're planning to do. And I think she's kind of just letting the league take the lead on this
Yeah.
and seeing how they're going to go. And I'm sure a lot of it's going to depend on what the numbers look like as far as infection rates. I'm sure if the numbers are high, they're not going to have people in there.
What stinks for obviously the Saints Dome is your first home game, the first game of the season against Tom Brady with the Buccaneers.
Right.
Obviously all Saints fans are hoping sellout crowd, be loud so he can't hear. But obviously safety comes first. And it just sucks with the whole pandemic and everything now.
Would you?
And then
go ahead.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was going to say, and the other part of that too is the Saints are actually they're scheduled to open the new arena in Las Vegas. They're going to be the Vegas, the Raiders' first home game, and the entire city had planned on going to Vegas for this game.
Yeah.
And now everything's on hold. So I'm sure that those hoteliers and casino owners there are sick to the stomach because everyone that I knew that was a Saints season ticket holder, they were going to Vegas.
Yeah.
Well, that's Sin City, man. You know how many viruses are out there already, man.
Way more than this coronavirus.
Now, do you go to the away games too, or just the home games?
We do one road game a year. Me and the 3 people that I sit with for the games, we do one road game a year.
Yeah.
And we enjoy it. I mean, just got our first victory in Atlanta last year. So I mean, it
Wow.
was
Now, do you
because
do you wear your stuff like, especially going into
oh,
Atlanta?
absolutely, absolutely, man. Let me tell you, we went the first game we went to a few seasons ago was that Monday night game in Seattle, and we just didn't play well. We've gone to Kansas City, we've gone to Dallas,
Yeah. Do you
we've gone to
get
quite a few cities.
do you get crap from people for like wearing your Saints crap? Because I know like here, obviously people won't say it, but if you go to the Eagles and you're wearing your Dallas stuff, like you're gonna get
Yeah,
crap.
I pussed out. I didn't wear mine.
No, we don't. You know, for one thing, usually there are a lot of Saints fans. Saints travel quite well,
Yeah.
and I was really surprised, but they travel quite well. So you're always going to see folks you know from home, and then you know they're always going to be the people that are going to hassle you. But
Hmm.
most of the time, the folks are polite. They buy us around to drinks. They always want to talk about New Orleans, and they always have a story about that visit to New Orleans where they were so drunk they just did not remember half of it. So, you know, I think part of it is I think if we were from Pittsburgh or, you know, somewhere like that, I think it would probably be a little bit of a different reception we get. But because it's New Orleans and everybody's dying to get to New Orleans, when folks come here for the games and we talk to some of the visitors that come, you know, supporting other teams, they tell us, they said, man, the game is Sunday. We got here on Tuesday. We just wanted to be in the city for the entire week. And we're not leaving until Tuesday morning the next week. So, I mean,
Wow.
they come, they plan their vacation
Hmm.
around coming to the city, not just coming in on a Friday and leaving on a Monday. They want a weeks long experience to eat, drink, and, you know, soak in the city.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of times they want to talk to us about that when we travel and go to St. St. But no, we always wear our gear for the entire time we're there.
That's good. That's
Every
good.
time.
Now,
Every
what
time.
happens if they don't allow fans this year? You're a season ticket holder. Are they guaranteeing you your tickets for the following year, or how's it going to work out for you guys?
From what we've read so far, you'll have a couple of options. Either you can get a full refund, they can credit your account for next season, um, but they really don't know right now for sure what the seating options are going to be. So everything's kind of on hold right now. But they didn't hesitate sending us the bill for the tickets. So I mean,
Yeah.
they you know,
Yeah.
first things first. You know,
Yeah.
no there was, and I really kind of thought that they would hold off because we had already made the initial payment for them, and when that second notice came, I was like, wow. So okay, maybe we're gonna have a season. And then as soon as we made the payment the very next day, they said, yeah, we're not really sure how it's gonna
Oh
go.
wow.
So we may be offering refunds, but you know, meanwhile we'll take this money and accrue that interest. So yeah.
Well, the thing that's starting to concern me is like, you saw baseball, they had a full out battle, and that was strictly over money. But now you're
Right.
starting to hear players speak up. Like Malcolm Jenkins is coming out, Zeke came out. They have legitimate concerns. I think football is going to be the hardest sport to quarantine in.
Oh, absolutely, because every play is
Yeah.
contact. Every play is
Yeah,
close up.
absolutely.
You know, every play is, you know,
All the
somebody else's
sweat.
sweat
Yeah.
or spit or everything, and all, you know, it's made for contact. So there's no way that if one person has the virus and they're asymptomatic, that everybody on offense is not going to get that. You're in the
Yeah.
huddle, you know, you're lined up
Yep.
on the line of scrimmage. I mean, the nature of the game is close personal contact. So
Hmm.
I really don't know how they're going to do that, but it's going to be virtually impossible to keep everybody healthy if one or two people on a team are sick. It's going to be virtually
Yeah.
impossible. You know, I've read that they were going to discourage players from taking showers post game and stuff
Yep.
like
Yep.
that. So I'm not really. There's just so many more questions than answers right now.
Yeah.
You know, but we're all waiting with bated breath because you know we're football fans and you know, it's just what we do. I joke with my wife a lot, and I tell her, I said that there's no off season for football. There's just a point in the year where there are no games being played, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean there's an off season for football. And that's kind of how folks feel here. You know, Saints lead off every sportscast every night.
Oh yeah.
So
Now let me ask you this. Obviously, there's rumors that Drew Brees might retire after this year. Do you want the Saints to go after Winston, or do you like Taysom Hill?
Taysom Hill kind of brings that spark, but the key to that spark is bringing it off the bench.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how ready he is to be a full-time starter.
We
I
haven't
know
really
that
seen it.
no, we haven't, and I know he's had some injury-plagued college years, just last couple of years in college. He suffered with a lot of injuries,
Big
and
injuries too.
but yeah, by nature of being a running quarterback, you're gonna take a lot of hits.
Yeah.
I would like to see him start a couple preseason games so that we can kind of get
Yeah.
a full view of
He's got a
what it
cannon.
looks like. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. If you remember the last game, the game last season,
Yeah,
the,
playoff
the
game.
season ender, he came in and provided the spark that actually
Yeah.
put the Saints back in the game.
Changes the play at the
And
line, throws the Harris
yeah,
40 yards down the field.
Look,
that's exactly right.
I think Drew's done. I've been saying this for years. He don't throw the deep ball long
His
anymore.
stats are still
You
good
know,
though.
He pads those stats from Michael Thomas with those little slant passes.
Gosh.
I think Jameis Winston. I think he's going to be your man. I think he took that short term deal because I think next year he's going to know he's going to have a chance to start there.
I do think Jameis
Mm-hmm.
can be a good player. You think of that coaching staff he can learn from Drew Brees for a year like Teddy did. He's got Sean Payton, a great coach, great players
Right.
around
And he's got
him.
20/20 vision again.
Yeah, that
Right.
too.
And the thing about it too is the key to a player like Winston who's had a troubled football history in Tampa is to have a coach, a disciplined coach,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
one that's gonna groom him. And you guys are well aware of Sean Payton's abilities with that. I'm
yeah.
not gonna say he's a quarterback whisperer, but he may be a quarterback whisperer. He had Teddy Bridgewater come in, start 5 games, go 5-0. I mean, how
Tough
often
games
does that
too.
happen?
Tough games.
Yeah. You don't
I
have
see you smiling over there. It was tough
Yeah.
games. He went into Seattle in
He
the
went
rain.
into
In the
Seattle.
rain.
And that's just something we haven't been able to do lately is go
No.
to Seattle and win.
No, and then you play Dallas, who was undefeated at the time.
Who Dallas should have
Yeah.
won that game.
Yeah, but you did, and Teddy
Yeah.
Bridgewater won.
Yeah.
But I
Shoulda, woulda.
look, Jameis Winston, he always gets a lot of yards. I just,
He does.
he admitted he couldn't see the scoreboard. He couldn't see anything. And you know
Right.
what? A lot of those tip balls, I don't think those interceptions should be recorded for a quarterback's interception. If he overthrows it, it's picked. Yeah, if it's a tip ball, I don't think that should go towards him.
My thing too is if you have Jameis be the quarterback, you can still keep Taysom. I know he wants to be a starter, but
Right.
Taysom is like the Swiss Army knife of our offense. Like he could play anywhere. He's faster than most of the receivers, I should say, in the league.
And
Absolutely.
everyone bashes Jameis for the 30 picks, but everyone who has been in Bruce Arians' system for the first year that they got there, they threw over 20
They
interceptions.
throw a ton
Yeah.
of picks.
Carson
They throw
Palmer
a
said
ton
that.
of picks.
Yeah.
Yep. They throw a ton of picks. So I'm thinking quarterback is the key for him to get with a good offensive coordinator, one that's going to, enhance his strong points and hide his bad stuff. When you win, the bad stuff is minimalized, but when you lose, the bad stuff is just magnified. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that, if he gets here, learns this system, learns this playbook, I don't think he could have a better teacher than Breeze.
Yeah.
So I think if he gets in, learns the playbook, I think he'll be great.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's got a cannon. So we just got to work on some accuracy issues, and if those accuracy issues were because of vision, then problem solved.
And now, have
You
you
know?
seen the rumors that Clowney is, talking about the Saints in Dallas, and obviously,
Mm-hmm.
our defensive line last year, I think, had 4 former first-round picks.
Right.
Davenport's been a little bit of a disappointment, but if you could throw Clowney in there with Rankins
Yeah,
and
but he would
Cam Jordan,
He would have to settle for a major pay cut.
yeah, but you
for
think
1 year
about
deal.
the players that have
I
settled
know,
this year,
but-
like Cam
But
Newton,
the thing
because
is,
of the
the
pandemic.
Saints only have $9 million left. The Cowboys
okay.
only have 11.
It's okay.
You have to prepare for next year because they're already saying that the salary cap's going to drop up to $30 million next year. You
But
guys
the
even
other part of that too is that some of these players, they want to come to a team where they feel like they have a chance to get a ring, and even if they settle for a smaller amount for 1 year,
like a prove it deal.
if they have a chance to get that ring, then they can go elsewhere and get the big money, because now they're sporting that jewelry saying, hey, I helped the Saints get to the Super Bowl and win. I think that players are more open to do that. Just like Sanders, the wide receiver.
Yeah.
I think he's knowing that he's coming to a team that's a contender.
He's got a lot of
knows
time
that-
left.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that sometimes those circumstances play into a player's decision to come to a certain team for short term, And hey, I would love for us to snatch Clowney and man,
Man,
talking
him and
about
Jordan.
oh,
Oh my gosh, and it feels good
wow,
to finally have a number 2 receiver. Obviously, Traquan Smith had a lot of hype, but he couldn't stay healthy.
no,
Willie Snead was probably the closest thing we had to a good second receiver, and they let him go.
I wanted
right,
Sanders. I wish he would have came to the Star, but I'm so glad we got CD.
Yeah,
yeah,
see,
oh
this was a
yeah.
good
I
pickup.
I, I think this is gonna be, it's crazy because we say it every year. I think this is going to be the make or break season, and the last couple seasons, I really thought that we were
Yeah,
Super Bowl ready.
yeah.
I thought we were Super Bowl bound.
I think we can only make it to the playoffs so many times in a row without winning the big one.
Right, right. So I'm hoping that for one, we stay healthy. For two, that Breeze has a better ratio with throwing the deep ball this year because, like you said, Ty, he hadn't been throwing the deep ball.
No.
He really hadn't, and when he has thrown it, attempted to throw it, it's sometimes woefully short.
My thing
You know.
against that though is, on the other side of this mic, he says that Breeze doesn't throw a lot, but
He doesn't.
we don't have a lot of speed guys. I mean, Ted Ginn was our guy and he got injured until they
Right.
started feeding Harrison, who is an amazing punt returner. But Breeze hasn't had a lot of opportunities to go deep, if you think about it.
No, yeah, and that's true. That's true because Michael Thomas is not going to go 70 vertical.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
No.
He's going to have to come back for the ball more often than
Yeah,
not.
he's a physical guy.
Right. He wants to catch it and beat you up and get a few extra yards. So that's going to be his thing.
But
like
now
you
we
said,
have Sanders, and they're going to feed in
Yeah.
Harris, I think, a little bit more. So that's 2 good speed guys.
Well,
So
Sanders is long in the tooth.
another excuse. He's always going to shoot us down here.
Yeah,
He's
I'm
been around
hearing
the.
that,
He's been around the block a long time.
Yeah, that's why you just said you wanted him.
I said I did until CD came to town.
So since we're talking about the Cowboys now, you saw how I segued into that, right? Let's talk about the quarterback and his contract. I mean, has he decided to take that franchise?
Yeah,
or-
he signed a tag.
He did sign the tag.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the Joneses are messing up. I really do.
I
You
don't.
know what? They should have signed him 3 years ago when he won at $20 million.
Yeah.
The problem is, Mike, is now the ball's in his court because if they franchise tag him again next year, it goes up to $37 million. He's going to be a free
Right.
agent because that third tag is for $55 million, and you just can't do it.
Do you think he's the man in Dallas? Do you think he's the answer?
Look, I think he's a great quarterback. Let me say this. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's an elite quarterback yet. He hasn't won the games to get. I mean, he had 5 opportunities last year to get us into the playoffs. He couldn't beat the Jets. He couldn't beat New England. Those are games where a good quarterback is going to step up, drive us down the field to win a game. The whole thing is this next man up mentality where everyone wants that next big contract. That's the problem with the sport.
Right. Those are games that you got to win, and you got to win those games every time. You can't lose to the Jets.
No.
It just cannot happen. The teams that you play, and you have to just notch those as a win to be considered an elite team or an elite quarterback.
Yeah.
When you play Cleveland, you play the Jets, you play Tampa, you play Arizona, you got to win those games every time, and you got to win them convincingly. Because when New England comes to town, or when the Saints come to town, or when the Steelers come to town, they're going to be gunning for you, and you got to be ready.
Oh yeah.
And I think a lot of times with the Cowboys is that it was either feast or famine.
Yep.
It was never a thing where they could play consistently. You'd have Dak have a spectacular game, throw for 400 yards, and they would win. And then, like you said, the very next week they'd play the Jets, and he'd look pedestrian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the contract they offered him was a pretty big contract. I mean it was like
$35 million a year,
$100 million guaranteed.
Yeah,
like that's a lot of money. Like I don't know who wouldn't have signed that, but he really wanted that 4-year deal, and he was set on that.
He has CAA as his agent. They don't negotiate. They just draw a line in the sand.
And that's it.
The thing is, Mike, is he wants a short-term deal. Dallas doesn't do short-term deals with stars. They do 5-year deals or more. He wants that 4-year deal because the TV contracts is getting renewed. That means the salaries are all going to go up. So he's playing it smart. Get a contract now, negotiate again in 3 years.
Hey, we've had to put Drew on the franchise tag. I mean, it happens, But I think that for me, as far as being an owner, if I was an owner of a team, I think a franchise tag is a mistake. Because when you sign one, you almost have to sign a second one.
Yeah.
You almost have to, because especially if the player has a decent season but not a spectacular one, you're going to have to get another, especially if there's nothing else out there. You're going to have to sign it again. And then that salary jumps. Like you said, it's going up to what, 37 million almost if he
37,
signs a second tender.
Yep.
I mean, that's an incredible amount of money for a quarterback that hasn't consistently gotten your team to the playoffs.
And the thing is that after that, it's a done deal. He's going to be a free agent because the third tag is I think it's 53 or 55 million. So
Right.
there's
Yeah,
no
the
way.
accelerators on those things are huge.
Yeah.
Because it's built that way to penalize the team for not being able to negotiate a contract with the player. So I mean, they're built that way to penalize the team.
And you think about it, the NFC East is probably one of the weakest divisions anymore. The Giants haven't been relevant forever. The Redskins, let's face it, they're always in the bottom. It's always between the Eagles and it's between the Cowboys, and it's never nothing's ever dominant. I mean, the Eagles won a Super Bowl a couple years ago. Don't get me wrong, but last year, would they go 9-7, won in division?
Right.
So
I mean, it's like the Saints when I think the Saints for 3 years in a row they went 7-9 and won the division.
but
And how many years? There were years where no team could repeat in this division, in this conference. But the NFC South, no team could repeat. And now the Saints have emerged as the quote unquote powerhouse team.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember there was a couple years where it would be like New Orleans, the Falcons, the MVP year with Cam Newton, and then it was always a competition.
Yeah, it's never a thing where a team
Yeah.
consistently wins the conference. But now, like
Now
you
it's
said, 3 in a
good.
row, we're running out of banner space in the rafters, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, you guys have the best conference now right now. Between you guys, Tampa Bay, and Atlanta, I mean, Carolina, they're not going to be relevant because they switched
I think
everything
Carolina
out.
will still put up a fight.
I don't think offensively they have the weapons. They have a great running back. They have Teddy there now, but I
I mean,
still
you
think
have
they're
DJ
lacking.
Moore and Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, but they
new
lost.
coach.
They
I
lost
think
their good tight end.
I think they'll put up a good fight, but you cannot count on laying out this year. They still have a good defense. Matt Ryan is always a threat with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. Got a good running back now in Todd Gurley if he stays healthy. It's going to be a very interesting, conference there.
The key to that too with Atlanta is going to be the health of Gurley.
Yeah.
Because without him being healthy, they're just the same Atlanta team on offense.
Yeah, every year, yeah.
You contain Jones. A couple other wide receivers may get a pass or 2 or 3 in the game, but it's not going to be a game break type thing where it's going to be enough to propel them to a win.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're going to definitely need to have that run balance. And if Gurley is healthy, I'm not sure what's going on with his knee. But I remember when he signed that huge deal with LA, I told my buddy, I said, that's a huge mistake for them. I said, I don't think he's 100%.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he was 100% coming out of school, to be honest with you. Hopefully he's better. And I'm not going to say I hope he makes a difference with them because, I absolutely despise the Falcons. But, I want him to be healthy for health's sake.
And you think about when Matt Ryan did have a healthy Devontae Freeman who played well, they got to Super Bowl that year.
Right. But we know what happened in Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, we know. That was a big choke.
But talking about Tampa for a second, I'm not really I just don't have the warm fuzzies that he's going to come there and turn them into a 12-14.
I have to see it first.
Hey, they have the best run defense. The defense is good. The offensive line is improved. They have a lot of weapons on that team.
They do, but you also have that chemistry.
It's going to come down to Tom's arm. This is his make it or break it, really, because you think about it. They said he never had weapons in New England. Now he has all the weapons. We'll see what happens.
Right. But you also have to have a team that, for lack of a better term, knows how to win.
Yeah.
If he can bring that I know how to win mentality to the team, then yeah, they're going to be super dangerous. They're going to be dangerous. But that's going to be something that he has to relay to them when training camp starts. He's got to go to them and say, hey, I know you guys don't have a real winning tradition here. You have a Super Bowl, and I get it. But in the last 20 years, you guys haven't won. I'm going to show you how to win. Well, and he has that one secret weapon that people are not really talking a ton about. He's got Gronk.
Yeah.
And he kind of just makes stuff happen.
Well, they got O.J. Howard too, so I mean he has a lot of good weapons there.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, the beef was he didn't have a lot of weapons in New England. and was still able to win consistently. So now he has a ton more weapons. So we'll see what happens, man. But teams are going to be gunning for him. The teams in this division specifically, they're going to be gunning for him because they know it's still that Brady mystique. And he can be 49, 50, 55, whatever. He still knows how to win.
Oh yeah.
Well, my hot take was that Tampa Bay was going to win that division, and Kyle Murray was going to take his team, Arizona, and win that division.
Oh wow.
Hot take.
Man,
You heard it here.
I heard it here first. Those are some bold predictions, man.
Heard it here first.
Those are bold predictions. Let me tell you, I think I have a bold prediction for you too. I got one for you. Hang on to your hats. You ready for this?
Wait, does it start with a D, Dallas?
No. But I will tell you this: Dallas is going to win that They're going to win their division. They'll win. And I think they're going to do it handily. I just don't have a lot of confidence in Philly right now. And I don't have a lot of confidence in Philly at quarterback.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't get a good feeling about consistency with them at the quarterback position. I think Dallas is going to win, but unless some things materialize during the course of the season that shows me that they can play consistently, especially in pass defense, I don't think they're going to win once they get to the playoffs. But I do think the Saints are going to repeat as champs of this division.
I do too.
I think somebody's just going to have to show up and beat them for me to feel otherwise. And I'm not talking about the one fluke game that they seem to lose every year to, like Tampa or Carolina or something like that.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it always seems like we end up in Carolina the last game of the season. Or
Yeah,
we end up
no.
here, one of the two. I don't know what that's about, and I don't like it.
Well,
I don't like playing.
Well, your division games are going to be very important this year because you do have 3 teams seriously that can win that division.
Yeah.
It's going to be important.
There's no cakewalk.
Yeah. I want to ask you about the whole Drew Brees thing. How
Mm-hmm.
do you think that's going to turn out as far as the locker room? Do you think there's going to be any problems with that whole Drew Brees thing?
I think that Drew has enough in the bank, so to speak, to be able to get past it. I think he's going to have some difficult discussions
Yeah.
with certain people on his team that spoke out when the whole controversy started.
Yeah.
But I also think that now he has a much better understanding that it's never been about the flag or anything like that. It's been about trying to get a message relayed. And I think that when he spoke about his grandfathers and what they fought for, it offended a lot of people more. It offended me personally because we talked about grandfathers. My grandfather wasn't allowed to serve on the front. And the reason he wasn't allowed to serve on the front is because the people in charge knew that if he went to a foreign nation and fought a war for this country, there were going to be certain things regarding rights he was going to be demanding once he came back.
Yeah.
And he would have been able to say, hey, I fought for this country. Why can't I have the right to vote, to live where I want, what have you? So those grandfathers were not allowed to have the privilege of defending the nation. They were relegated to the back positions. You cook.
Yeah.
You'll be a mechanic. You'll do these things. But you're never going to be in a position where you can attain any glory and then come back and say, I did this for my country. This is what I want. Now, there was Dory Miller during Pearl Harbor, but that was accidental because it was a sneak invasion and it was just every man grab a gun.
Yeah.
But, my wife's grandfather served in France, and he got his medals and his glory from the French military.
Wow.
No acknowledgement from the American military whatsoever.
That's crazy.
And he was bitter about that until the day he died.
Wow.
He was extremely bitter about it. He would be so reluctant to discuss anything about World War II. And this was an honorable man. But when he came home, he couldn't even ride on the same troop ship with some of the white soldiers.
That's crazy.
So for him to elevate that, when we were having this discussion about the flag, I think that kind of it really ticked a lot of people off because they were like, we didn't have that opportunity. You talk about your grandfathers fighting for this country, but what else did your grandfathers fight for? Did they come back and fight for the rights of everyone
Yeah.
that lived in this country? And the answer to that was no. So I think he had to do some soul searching and come to some
Yeah.
realizations. And part of it was embarrassment too,
Oh yeah.
because, we say a lot that, you either have to hit people in the wallet or you have to hit them in the face. And when I say hit them in the face, you have to hit them in the face with facts. You have to hit them in the face with reality. And I think Drew kind of got a rude awakening to
Mhm.
that
Oh, yeah.
and looked in the mirror and saw his privilege and saw his shortcomings and decided that he would do better.
I think it was smart of him too that he didn't just go right to the media. Like he personally called a lot of his teammates too. I think
You
that
got to do that.
yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah, especially
Yeah,
someone like Malcolm
Well, Mike,
Jenkins,
let
who's
me-
going to be a big voice in the locker room.
Let me ask you this,
Right.
Mike. Why do
Sure.
you think today that people can't sit down and do what we're doing today? You and I and Ty, we're all talking, having a good conversation. People want to go to social media right away, and they can blast whatever they want on social media, and they don't have to worry about the consequences of it. You know what I mean?
Right. There are no repercussions.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say there are no repercussions, but there are no in your face immediate repercussions
Mm-hmm.
on social media.
Yeah.
But part of the issue is with it, Chris, is that so many people, the first thing you have to do is acknowledge there's a problem. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
many folks, so many of my white brothers, they just will not acknowledge 400, like this general was on TV, they will not acknowledge 401 years of oppression.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing you got to do. The second thing you got to do, like the government did with the Japanese that went in internment camps, like the government did with the Native Americans, you have to discuss compensating people for what they've lost historically throughout the generations since this country was founded.
Yeah.
And I'm talking, 1619 to 2020. We were never brought here all created equal. It was never the case for us,
Yeah.
for people that look like me. So when you start talking about reparations, immediately a wall goes up to people and they're like, no, we can't do that. Well, yes, we can do that. I think we can. There's room to discuss that,
Yeah.
and I'm not just talking about people just wanting money. I mean, people want resources.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not just saying cut everybody a check, but we want access to resources that we've been historically denied. But in order for those conversations to start, there has to be that acknowledgement. You have to
Yeah.
acknowledge that you can't say, oh, well, since the 60s, you guys have had equal rights. That's not been the case. We've had legislation
Yeah.
that said we should have equal rights.
Well,
But
let me
it
ask
has-
you this:
Yeah,
why
sure.
why do you think today, like no matter what you say, whether you're white, you're black, brown, pink, blue, whatever, no matter what you say, if someone doesn't agree with it, you're considered racist? I mean, I came out and I said, look, to me, I'm a Christian man. In God's eyes, God created us all as equals. You know what I mean? In His likeness. And to me, I don't hate. I have no hate.
Right.
know. I mean,
I know.
the first thing I did was I went down to see your mom. I kissed her right on the mouth. I love your parents. You know what I mean? And we sent that picture to Juan to drive him nuts. But
Oh, I'm sure it did. It was like, damn it, I'm
Yeah.
not there.
but if you come out and you say that just because you're not standing up for one race, you're considered racist. And I don't agree with that. That's one of the things I don't agree with.
I think here's the thing. We're in the midst of the Black Lives movement, the Black Lives Matter movement right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when someone says all lives matter, everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But we're focusing now on the lives that haven't mattered for 400 years. We want to focus on the lives that haven't mattered,
Yeah.
on the people that have been marginalized for centuries. Those are the ones we want to focus on now. White lives have always mattered.
Yeah.
So to say, when people say blue lives matter, nobody's born blue. That's a job you pick.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's not something you don't spring from your mother's loins and you're instantly a police officer. It doesn't work that way. And you're not a general in the military or an admiral in the Navy. You're a human being.
Mm-hmm.
That goes back to the acknowledgement piece. You have to acknowledge that this country has not lived up to its potential, has not lived up to its promise
No, you know
that
what?
all men are created equal. So I think when you hear people say Black Lives Matter, that's the point they're trying to get across. We understand that all these other lives matter, but we need to focus on the people that have been marginalized right now. Because
Yeah.
we're at a point in history where we can do this now, where there's a momentum, and we can really. And I understand that there are going to be some people we're not going to be able to change their hearts and minds. I get
Yeah.
that.
The only thing
They're going to be some people.
the only thing I don't really like is I don't like how, like, I could be walking down the street and somebody sees me and says, he's white, he's racist. That's the things I can't stand, And a lot of this hate, I think the media loves this hate. Some of them, not all the newscasters that are out there, but some of the newscasters out there, they just love pumping it. And it's all they talk about is a person's color. Start addressing people by their names. Like I got called basically a racist because I don't look at a black man as a black man. I don't. I look at you as a person. And
Right.
I was basically told I was racist.
Well, and I'll give you a different perspective on that. I hear people a lot, and we've been having these telemeetings at work, discussing the current state of affairs in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And this one young lady got on, and she says, "Well, I don't see color." I don't want you to not see color. I want you to see my color. What I don't want is to be treated differently because you see my color.
Good.
When you
Yeah.
say I don't see color, I know exactly what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I can know what you mean because I know you and I know your heart.
Mm-hmm.
But when you hear people say, I don't see color, no, I want you to see color. I want you to understand what I've been through. I want you to understand what I'm going through. I want you to understand my experience, but I don't want you to treat me less of a person because of those things. I don't mind if you see my color. And black people come in the rainbow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
And
I have some people in my family that are lighter than you. I have some people in my family that are super, super dark skinned. But I mean, it's like my wife, for instance, But I mean, it's. I want you to see my color. I want you to understand me, and not just see me, and not just look through me and say, "Oh, I see him just as a person." But when you say that, I understand what you mean, because actually another person on the call got in and she said, I know she doesn't mean she doesn't see color. Of course you see color because everything is visual. But what she means is she doesn't treat people differently because of their color. So when you say that, I know exactly what you mean, Chris. I mean, I know exactly what you mean.
I think what breaks my heart. Obviously, I'm 23. I don't have a lot to say to this, but just and like he said, being a Christian, I do see color. I see beautiful color. Obviously, God created everybody in a different, beautiful way. What breaks my heart is the fact that we need to do all these protests. Like, no, I don't think anybody should be treated different. That is what's hard, I think, to see is like, I totally agree with you.
Right.
It's
Isn't
like
horrible people have to protest in the street for basic human rights?
That's kind of what like it mind blows me that if you don't see that there's racism with any like the fact that people need to make a stand to change, like, aren't we all humans on this earth together? Like, that's what kind of blows my mind. And the fact that if you don't see that there's not like an equal thing going here, like I feel like there's never has been.
And it's 2020.
Yeah,
it's 2020.
It's 2020. I mean, it just blows my mind that.
Mike, you know what really gets me frustrated too is you see a lot of these famous athletes that have blue checks next to their name, millions of followers, and they could be the voice for some of the people. And they put their little tweets out and they say these little things, but they don't realize the power that they have.
Right.
Where
The influence.
They could change. They could change this country. I mean, you have the thing that aggravates me is you have politicians that don't know a damn thing about our history, doing stupid things on TV, saying stupid things, and that's our president too.
Right.
They fuel the fire. Because all they're looking for now is they're looking for votes for November. They're not looking for change.
Right. They're looking to inflame their base, to inspire them to get out and vote.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really just the bottom line. The bottom line. Think of the influence and the prestige that the president would have if he stood up and just acknowledged the problem and said that I'm going to work with the people on the other side of the aisle to come up with some legislative solutions. Think of I mean, not just in this country, but think of the impact that would have worldwide. I mean, the impact for that would be absolutely phenomenal. But the only thing he can focus on now is just inflaming his base and having a rally and going out to vote. He's not trying to solve any problems.
What do you think?
And he's not the only one. He's not the only one.
Yeah.
And we've said multiple times too, like it kind of, I feel like it starts with your family too, how you're raised. You know, obviously he grew up with you guys, and I consider you guys all family. You, Sean, Juan. You know, I grew up playing baseball with more Spanish kids than white, and it's just like I've never once ever looked at anyone and was like, obviously you're different skin color than me, but I never looked at anyone and said I'm better than you. And and it's such a crazy subject to talk about. So we said this like 3 podcasts ago. It's crazy that this is even a thing.
Yeah.
But
like you said,
it's
it's 2020 and we're still fighting this. Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I seriously, I don't think it's ever going to change, unfortunately. I think that there's people out there that financially benefit from some of this stuff that they don't want change. They need this. They need this to continue. And and that's politicians on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah,
and, you know,
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I don't.
And I think spiritually, from what you read in the Bible, it's only going to get worse. And that's not just Black Lives Matters thing. That's things that are going to happen in this world. It's meant to happen.
Right. Absolutely. How do you consider yourself a Christian and not love your fellow man regardless?
You know, I said that probably 2 podcasts ago. I said I wish more people would just experience the love of Jesus, just that you could look around and truly see what is going on in this world. Like, why are we not showing the golden rule, which is to love everybody? It's a frustrating
Well, you know what's
thing.
funny, Mike? And I know you go to church, your wife goes to church. I read the book of Ezekiel. And if you read the book of Ezekiel, what's going on, especially over in Israel and all the pieces that are in place, people just don't realize how close to the end we really are. No one knows the time or the date. He's going to come like a thief in the night.
Like a thief in the night. That's exactly right.
But we're close.
When this pandemic started, man, it's interesting you bring up Ezekiel. But when this pandemic started, the governor quoted Ezekiel at the end of one of his press conferences, and it just completely blew everyone away. Yeah. And you know, and even if you're not a Christian, even if you don't read the Bible, man, how difficult is it just to treat everyone with respect?
You're right.
With
You're so true.
I mean,
so
how difficult
is it?
You'd
think it'd be easy, man. You'd think it would be easy.
How difficult? But you know, a lot of it goes back to not necessarily racism, although that plays a huge part of it, but it's class too.
Yeah, not even if you were a Christian, just your standard human. Like, how hard is it just to be human with someone? Just to I don't even know. It's just.
That's exactly right. That's
but
we've divulged way from sports now. But
but you know what?
I understand.
But this is awesome though. This is, you know, that's why we called our podcast "Everything Goes," because you know we're not here to prove anyone wrong or right. We're actually here to get educated ourselves. And like when we bring athletes on, we tell them straight out, there's no negative questions coming your way. We want to learn about your sport and get the insides that none of us have ever seen before.
Right.
And talking to you, I mean, you give us the other side of what's going on because.
And what I not to cut you off, what I love about this is this talk with you, which is just such a respectful talk. Like no one, like even like just everyone's respectfully talking to each other. I stay off Facebook because the comments you see and the fights you see between friends on Facebook.
Oh yeah, it's ugly.
It puts so much. It's so sad, and it's just you get very angry and just some people are blind, man.
Yeah, when folks dig in their heels and they know that their point of view is the right one. I remember there was an interview with President Obama a few years ago, and someone asked him, what was the most difficult part of being president? He said the most difficult part of being president was sitting across from someone and negotiating with them, even when you know that you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
He said that was always the toughest thing for him because he always tried to be on the side of the angels. And when people would come to him with an agenda, he knew he would have to negotiate something with these people, even though he knew in his heart that he was trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And I think what we need to learn how to do is be more like that statement. You know, still be willing to negotiate, still be willing to sit and talk to people, even when we know we're 100% right. Because eventually, if we are right 100%, if we sit and talk to that person, they're going to come around. Even though we may have to give a little bit, they're going to come around because they're going to walk away saying, hey, you know, even though he felt he was right, he was still willing to sit down and talk to me.
Yeah.
You know,
You
and
know
I think we need to be more like that.
You know what kills me the most about politics? The American people are the ones that are left behind. I mean, all these politicians down there in Washington, they're making their money. They have the best benefits, but the American people get left behind. You know, and why?
But you know, one of my political science professors told me years ago, we get the government that we deserve.
Yeah.
And you know, the people that run for office, they always spew about the American electorate being the most intelligent electorate in the world. And it is the exact opposite. The American electorate is probably the least informed because they choose not to be informed. Not because they're ignorant. They just choose not to do any research on their own on a candidate. They'll pick one issue that they agree with a candidate on and damn everybody else, damn everything else. I'm digging in my heels and this is it. You know, we see the Christian conservative groups that support the president. Now, if I blindfolded you and told you that there was a guy running for office that's declared bankruptcy 9 times, can't get a loan for his business from any bank that banks in the United States or Europe. He's been married 3 times. He's cheated on every wife he's had. He's stolen land and money from citizens and refuses to pay people for goods and services. And I told you that that person was running for president. You would say, there's no way I'm going to vote for that person.
Yeah.
He doesn't dispute any Christian values that I have. But the Christian conservative groups support Donald Trump. And I just cannot, for the life of me, understand that. I mean, you vote for who you want to vote for. I get it. That's fine. But to say that you're basing your support and your vote on fundamental Christian values and you support this man only because he's taken a stand, and it's not really his stand, it's his party stand that he's anti-abortion. That's the only thing. So when we were talking about digging in your heels on one issue and then damn everything else, I mean, there's like 15 points I just made.
Yeah.
But the only one you see is that one. And you're not giving yourself an opportunity to be educated about anything else. So when I say that the American electorate is the least informed, it's not because they're stupid, it's because they choose to be the least informed. And that's a tragedy. That's a tragedy within itself, because there's some good people that are Republican. There's some good people that are Democrats that could really get in there and do a good job. But the American electorate, they dig in their heels on someone and they just will not let go of it.
Well, you know what? I think our whole political party setup is broken.
Absolutely.
I think in the House and the Senate, we should have equal numbers of Democrats, equal number of Republicans, and whatever independents are left, if there's a tie, they're the deciding factor. I'm so sick and tired of things getting through the House, not going through the Senate.
Right.
The American people don't win. I mean, the power to the people is bullshit. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because the only power we have is we get to pick what idiot we put in office, and that's who's going to represent us for 4. Seriously.
For 4 or 6 years. You're right. Yeah.
They should give us the power to be able to vote on any bill they put on the floor. Yeah. Let the American people speak and have a way.
Right.
And I think if a Republican is president, a Democrat should be vice president, or vice versa. I think the parties, it's too much of a boys' club, and all they do is gang up on each other, and we suffer.
Yep, absolutely. You are 100% right.
Yeah.
I do not disagree with that at all. Not at all. But man, those guys.
Dude, I love. You know what? These are the kind of podcasts I love. We had no notes for you at all. We started with Morgan Mixers, went into the Aints, got to the Cowboys, went into the Super Bowl, and politics, Black Lives Matter. This is what I love. This is the platform I love being on. Just talking. And
I'm happy to come back anytime, guys.
Absolutely.
Anytime.
Man, it was a blessing, man. It was awesome, man. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you guys for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Problem.
Well,
Definitely.
you know,
praying,
Michael, our family, we love you, man. We wish you and your wife nothing but the best, and hope you guys stay healthy down there. And
Guys, we love you guys too, man, and the same. And we're loving this podcast. Keep it going. We love it.
We're definitely gonna have you on again.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward.
And my Morgan Mixers order will be coming again soon.
All right. I'll make sure to put a little lanyap in there for you.
All right, Mike. God bless.
Guys, y'all take care.
All right, man. We'll see you.
Bye bye.
All right, buddy. Bye-bye.
That was an amazing podcast. It was really good.
Oh
Really good
God, you
talk.
know what?
Really good talk.
Those I don't even look at the clock. I could just go and go and go and this is what more people need to do. We need to sit down and have dialogue, have discussions where nobody gets angry.
Yeah.
Nobody's feelings get hurt.
I'm tired of this.
And
let's
we can
comment
talk.
at each other where you can say whatever you want because you don't have to face that person.
Yeah.
Like, because when you have these talks, obviously you want to watch what you say. You want to be respectful to this person.
Yeah.
And that was a very good, respectful conversation. It was really good. It's 8:51 p.m. here. Sun setting. It's a good day. It's been a good podcast. We need to get up early in the morning though, sadly. But this will be up on all the platforms for you guys. Keep
Two
smashing
great
our
interviews tonight. I love it.
Keep smashing our Twitter and Instagram. We've been getting followers every day. Dylan, thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Morgan, thank you so much for joining us. I said that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Everyone go out there and order them Morgan Mixers, baby.
Yeah, guys, definitely check it out. We'll link everything in there, but we hope you guys stay safe and have a good one.